Live from Studio 67 in Florida's capital county, it's time to get fact-checked.
Access granted.
Good people of Florida, Happy New Year. We are live from Florida's capital county. My name is Jared Grigas, and welcome back to another season of the FAC podcast. We actually got a brand new look this year. The podcast formerly known as FACish will now be FAC Check from here on out. So we are happy to have you guys tuning into us once again. We are actually joined by two new faces on the team. First up, we got Courtney Mooney. Courtney, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great, Jared.
I am glad to hear it. We're happy to have you. Where are you joining us from?
I'm from St. Lucie County. Finished my master's at Florida State last December, so this will be my 5th session, actually.
Good deal. Girl is smart as a whip. Courtney, what kind of stuff are you going to be working on for us here?
Yeah, I'm working with Eddie Labrador. He is in charge of our community and urban affairs, growth management, and he is our general counsel. So any issues dealing with that stuff, I'll be handling.
Eddie, game on Labrador. Nice little plug there. Next up, we have got our second new analyst, Mr. Amir Warren. Amir, how we doing today?
We're doing well. How are you doing, Jared?
Can't complain, man. Can't complain.
Yeah, no.
The energy is high right now. Tell me a little about yourself, give the people...
Kind of follow up with kind of what Courtney said. So I'm from Jacksonville, originally, Duval County. I transferred here to FAC from Leon County. This will be session number 2 for me. But this will be the first full session, so that's exciting. I'm currently still in grad school, and I'm in a dual master's program, currently getting my MSP and MPA degree. And yeah, just excited to be here.
Yeah, very cool, man. We got 2 rising stars here with us, so I got high hopes for this season of Fact Check, but we will kind of jump right into things. Session will be kicking off next Tuesday, as well as that 60-day countdown clock. So, the activity level is high this week, and, we'll be getting after it real soon. But we just wanted to give you guys a session preview of what to look out for, some of FAC's top priorities, as well as bills we've already seen either filed or moving through during those interim committee weeks these past couple months. But I'll just go ahead and throw it around the horn. We will start with Courtney here to talk a little bit about term limits in the administration category.
Yeah, term limits is back again this year. It establishes term limits for county commissioners who have served for 8 consecutive years in office. FAC staff will be opposing this bill at every committee stop.
Yeah, this is obviously a big one again, and this is one that our county folks, our membership was just absolutely instrumental in last year. We had dozens of our commissioners come up and, stand in the paint, go up there and testify at the podium that, this is not something we need right now. There's already a mechanism in place for county commissioner term limits, and that already exists at the local level. So this is something we will be opposing going forward, and we're really counting on your support again. So, call and get in touch with your delegation members and let them know that this is not a bill that needs to be heard this session. Moving forward, we have another PACE bill. That is House Bill 927, Improvements to Real Property. FAC has been working with the House sponsor so far, Representative Trabolsi, on a language clarification to the current PACE statute. Just for a little bit of context, the PACE program allows homeowners to obtain financing for energy efficiency and hurricane hardening home improvements. Now, in theory, a PACE program administrator kind of needs the local government's blessing to operate within its boundaries, and I think most county attorneys would agree with me there. However, a controversial bond validation hearing within the past year or so emboldened certain actors within this space to kind of take their PACE operations statewide with little to no oversight. So we are looking to clarify that statute to require these programs to once again get that county blessing, which we believe was kind of the original intent of the statute anyway. This language is currently in Representative Trabolsi's version, but has not yet made it into Senator Martin's companion. So this is one we will be working hard on going forward. And I'm going to kick it back to Courtney now to talk a little bit about a big preemption by Representative Esposito.
Thanks, Jared. Like you said, this is a big preemption that we're going to see this year. The bill started off as a heat exposure requirements bill, and the PCS was filed by the committee to incorporate broad preemptions on labor and employment. This bill was temporarily postponed, but we do expect to see it agenda'd again.
Yeah, this is a bad one, Courtney. There's really two components to that preemption. There is a preemption on local governments regulating wage requirements for their contract employees, their vendors, as well as a broader preemption on labor and employment practices at large, kind of. And the tricky part with that one, and whether or not this was the sponsor's intent or not, it reads as if counties cannot apply these regulations within their own internal operations. County employees, for example.
Right. Counties won't be able to enforce any special things that they want to their staff. I mean, dads who want to go on paternity leave or work from home, this bill specifically just states that everything's going to fall to the state.
Bingo. This is a bad preemption. Even taken to its absolute extreme, we would have to potentially, run it by DMS before we even give our county employees a holiday, for example.
Right.
So this is one that FAC will be opposing going forward. All right, now we're going to move into the growth management space. So we're going to start with Amir here. We have a familiar face yet again, dealing with mobility fees and transportation concurrency. So Amir, let's talk a little bit about House Bill 479.
Yeah, no, for sure. So House Bill 479 comes with its companion, Senate Bill 688. Both of these were filed by Representative Robinson and Senator Martin. So previously, the latest mobility fee measures specify that only the permitting local governments can charge for transportation impacts on a development, but this bill mandates that permitting local governments to collect and account for extra jurisdiction impacts. However, there is a lack of clarity on how fees related to these impacts will be determined or allocated, and this ambiguity poses challenges, especially for county road systems that extend beyond municipality boundaries.
Yeah, we saw a similar version to this last year in House Bill 235. That is one that Bob McKee was fighting hard on last year. And really the issue here is that roads don't exist in a vacuum, and so obviously if a municipality, a small municipality, is the one permitting for a development, only their roads are potentially the ones getting funded for those transportation impacts. With that being said, I'm going to send it back over to Courtney. This is a big one here, and it's got a lot of moving parts, several bills kind of all operating in the same space, but this is dealing with kind of the building permitting process at large that are really trying to, let's say, streamline the time frames as much as possible. So Courtney, take it away.
Thanks, Jared. We have a large portion of building permit bills out right now. Last week, during the last committee week, we heard Representative Esposito's bill on building regulations, House Bill 267. First off, this bill does reduce the shot clocks for local government to approve with conditions, or deny building permits. And not only does it reduce the shot clocks, it reduces them for single-family dwellings, two-family duplexes, townhouses, and any commercial buildings of 25,000 square feet or fewer. This shot clock is reduced to 30 days that the local government has to give them an answer by. 15.
And that's down from 120 days.
Yeah,
that's these that's existing permitting processes.
The big issue at hand here is
quite a jump.
It's a large jump. Along with 15 days if an owner uses a private plans reviewer, and 10 days if a building permit application is for a master plan building permit, which I'll get to in just a second. And then we're just shortening the time frame for the community block grant development recovery program from 15 working days to 10. So those shot clocks can definitely be not only a big time constraint, but a constraint overall for our local governments, just because they might not have the ability to get these things out that quick. And getting back to the master plan building permit, this portion of Rep. Esposito's bill has a lot to do with Representative McLean's bill and Senator Ngolia's bill. with the expedited approval of residential building permits. This portion of the bill is for counties that have 75,000 residents or more to create a program to expedite building permits for residential subdivisions or planned communities. This process is going to be a two-step process, and within this process, they must have a preliminary plat that has to be approved and basically will be the exact representation of what the whole community will look like. And those developers must have a performance bond of 130%. Another large takeaway with this as a whole is that by December 31st of 2017, that 50% is going to move to a 75% increase of those building permits being distributed in a batch. We are currently working with Representative Esposito, Representative McLean, and Senator Angolia to get this in a position where it will really work for our counties. We always want to see more growth management, more people moving to Florida, and we understand that these developers need timeframes shortened so that they're not putting up so much money and losing it, but also we have to do it safely for our communities.
Yeah, this appears to be part of kind of a larger dereg movement of the building permitting and development process or development review process at large, kind of. I think Courtney summed it up pretty well in the sense that, at the end of the day, this is something of a consensus issue. I mean, even from a local perspective, a more efficient and effective permitting process, I think is, a positive as far as, more workforce housing within our communities, better customer service relationships with these builders and developers. But at the end of the day, it has to work from a technical perspective and from a public safety perspective. And so we're really committed to getting this thing right as it kind of moves through the legislature. Moving on, we got some finance and tax stuff to talk about. That is Amir's wheelhouse. So Amir, let's hear it.
In finance and tax, to start off with something we're all familiar with and something that was a big problem for a lot of counties in the previous session, our FRS COLA. COLA stands for Cost of Living Adjustment. And FRS is meant to target our retired state employees, right? The cost of living is getting high, so this is viewed as more so like a communal kind of welfare system in a sense.
Yeah, like Amir said, this cost of living adjustment of 3% was in one of the Florida retirement system packages last session. It ultimately did not make it into the final version that passed. Obviously, like he said, this is something of a well-intentioned policy measure, but it does come with a hefty price tag. We have not gotten a fiscal impact estimate just yet this session. Last year, I believe it was over $500 million for that 3% cost of living adjustment to local governments. So this is obviously something significant to counties moving forward. Staying in finance and tax, we have got a handful of committee bills that are amending our homestead property tax exemption system. Mir, why don't you fill us in a little bit on that?
Yeah, no, for sure. So it comes in a pack of 3. The first 2 are going to be our constitutional amendments, where the third one will be our implementing bill. So it's dealing with our second homestead exemption, currently at $25,000 for our non-school levies, and it increases exemptions up to $50,000. The kind of problem here that we see is increasing homestead exemption does not provide tax relief. It more so just shifts the burden to non-homesteaders. So when I say non-homesteaders, we're thinking our renters and our businesses and things like that. So with that being said, this is a bill that FAC staff will oppose.
Yeah, thanks, Amir. This is one that they'll be chipping away on just about every year, it seems like. Moving forward, we have a couple bills in agriculture and rural affairs. House Bill 339, as well as its companion Senate Bill 696. These are sponsored by Representative Roth and Senator Rodriguez, have a preemption on agritourism. Now, current law already preempts local governments from prohibiting or regulating agritourism practices on land classified as ag. This bill expands that preemption to include a couple new prohibited actions. For one thing, a local government may not require a certificate of use for agricultural facilities or agritourism venues. I believe this is just a handful of counties that this would impact, but it does sunset any existing ordinances or regulations 1 year after this bill's effective date. So this is a fairly significant preemption here. Additionally, a local government may not limit any state-regulated agritourism industries. This includes everything ranging from wineries to breweries, all kinds of stuff on agricultural lands. So, given the preemption, we will be opposing this bill this session. Now, we're playing a lot of defense this session, as you have heard, but we did want to end on a high note. There are a handful of support positions in FAC's legislative platform, including bills that have already been filed. First and foremost, we have got House Bill 141 and Senate Bill 196 by Representative Abbott and Senator Simon. These bills would provide a waiver of match for the Regional Rural Development Grants Program. Now, under current law, local governments are required to provide at least 25% in matching funds for this grant program. This would eliminate that matching requirement going forward, which will obviously save some of our more fiscally constrained counties in rural areas of opportunity, a considerable amount of money. So this is something that FAC will be supporting this session. I think Courtney has one for us as well.
Yeah, the acceptance of cash payments by businesses. This is House Bill 35 and Senate Bill 106 by Rep. Redmond and Senator Jones. This bill requires businesses to accept cash for in-person transaction of tangible goods or services alongside other payment methods without imposing additional fees or conditions. This really just allows people to keep using cash. We heavily support this. We definitely have members of our counties and just of our communities who don't have credit cards or even bank accounts, and we don't want to not let them have services throughout our communities just because they're paying in cash.
Well said, Courtney. It's always nice when FAC is able to get up there and support bills at the podium instead of just playing defense. Mir, what you got for us?
On my side, we're supporting Senator Hooper's bill, SB 28, which is licensing tax and EVs. This is a repeat filing, something that we've seen last session. We are also monitoring Representative Esposito's companion bill. She filed a strike-all amendment removing the license tax as well as county allocation.
Yeah, so in Representative Esposito's version, unfortunately, the portion we support dealing with registration fees for electric vehicles, that is looking like it will no longer be a part of the House bill. That strike-all amendment has not actually been adopted yet. It got temporarily postponed in its committee during interim committee weeks due to just a formality, due to a title change amendment. But that's something we can look for going forward. What it does instead of the registration fees is it requires a special estimating session by the Revenue Estimating Conference, as well as requires a study on the fiscal impact of more electric vehicles on the roads by the Office of Economic and Demographic Research. So unfortunately, this just does not have the teeth we initially were hoping for out of this bill because, like I said, and as Amir mentioned, this was really meant to be a mechanism to kind of replace the lost fuel tax revenue with more non-traditional cars on the road. So hopefully the Senate bill gets some momentum. It did actually pass the Senate last year. It's been more of an uphill battle in the House. Interestingly enough, this is something we've actually seen as kind of a larger movement throughout the Southeast, where other states like Georgia and Alabama even have passed similar license taxes on electric vehicles. So Florida is dragging their feet a little bit on this issue, but we're hoping we can get this thing across the finish line the next year or so. That just about does it for Shop Talk today. But obviously, I think we have a couple plugs before we wrap up.
Yeah, we have our legislative day coming up on January 17th. We're so excited to see everybody in town and just to get to come up here and talk to reps and senators about the issues down home and up home. So please stop on by the office and we will see you guys at the Turnbull Center.
Yep, FAC Ledge Day is always a good time, and you guys are such a crucial part of what we do. So obviously, we're looking forward to seeing you guys there. We're looking forward to seeing our Palm Beach County folks at Palm Beach Day next week. They are actually kicking off that first week of session. Obviously, be on the lookout for our legislative bulletin going forward. And if you need additional details on any of the bills we talked about today, or at any point during session, please refer to our bill tracker. That is up on the FAC website, and we'll be updating that as often as we can, obviously, as things change and evolve and move through committees. But thanks for tuning in, guys. We got a good season ahead of us. I'm feeling real good about Amir and Courtney here.
Let's go. One day at a time.
One day at a time.
One podcast at a time.
This has been Jared, Courtney, and Amir. We are signing off.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.